now, Jags, winners of 3 in a row, looking pretty good at 4-2. And maybe this is kind of who we thought they'd be in this division all year long. Now they're going to go to New Orleans. Small road faves at 1.5. It has moved ever so slightly, just down a tick to 1. Totals come down a tick, 42.5 to 42. So no drastic moves there since the opener this evening, but slight moves. I can understand why, again, if the marketplace is getting a little bit smarter, of not overreacting to what we just saw from the Saints, which was not pretty in Houston, and also overreacting to what the Jags did, because, again, you can't play if Gardner Minshew doesn't turn it over 3 times. But that game is different if Minshew plays better, and he did not play well tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014, so that streak continues. This number did go down, by the way, and it's mostly pick, actually, now in the market. And I think a lot of that is maybe precautionary with Trevor Lawrence's knee. Trevor Lawrence did kind of twist that knee, was sacked by Samson Ebukam in the fourth quarter. C.J. Beathard came on to finish the last drive. Now Jaguars were up 17. The game was over. But I think that's what you'd seen the move, at least to New Orleans, because I think it's a curious move, because it's like, hey, why is New Orleans getting support? Now they are in the Superdome, so that's still one of the best home field advantages in all the National Football League, and that dome can get very loud. But if you look at New Orleans today, they lose 20-13 at the Texans. Outgain them, though, 430 to 297, and they ran more plays, and Derek Carr threw for 341, did throw the one interception. It was -1 basically in the turnover margin. But New Orleans had chance after chance after chance to tie that game in the fourth quarter and just couldn't get it done. Fell short on the final drive. Houston was able to run the clock out. So New Orleans is really, they're an up and down team to me. And in fact, one faraway store I just see flashed New Orleans -1. Ooh. And look, maybe that's getting out ahead of the move just because of the Trevor Lawrence situation. Sure. Now he was doing an interview with Amanda Bionis-Renner from CBS after that. I don't think if he was really, really hurt, he's going to be doing that interview. So it's probably precautionary. I'm guessing he sits out maybe a couple early practices in the week.
You know, and you're seeing these teams here, right? And you got 4-2 Jacksonville, you got 3-3 Saints. The Saints obviously losing to the Texans, who are 3-3. I feel like there's a bunch of teams right there, and I think the Jags and Saints are very comparable, even though Jacksonville has a slightly better record. And the point there is, in this week-to-week league that we always talk about, this is another one of those spots where if you can get better quarterback play out of Derek Carr, I feel like the defense has been playing pretty well.
The New Orleans defense is probably one of the top 5 defenses in the league.
Right. They travel today, but the offense has got to catch up to the defense.
Yeah, so they haven't been able to run the ball, Dave.
At all, with 41 back in there for Alvin Kamara. So maybe it's one of those things where you feel like if you're a Saints backer here, my constant is the defense. The volatile spot is the offense. That's where I'm not getting, and maybe Saint backers thought with Derek Carr, that volatility, say from the Jameis Winston days, that would go away. That hasn't necessarily happened yet. Is it all predicated on the running game for you?
Yeah, you just need some help. Number one, I was low on New Orleans anyway because Derek Carr, working with now his 5th offensive coordinator in 10 years in the National Football League, it takes a little time to get timing and to get down a new scheme and a new system. And that OC I'm referring to is Pete Carmichael in New Orleans, who's there from the early Sean Payton days and still there with Dennis Allen. But, yeah, I just think, New Orleans to me, a little bit of an aging team, at least on the offensive line. They got some good young receivers, and I think Derek can still throw the football. Just got to avoid those turnovers. Couldn't do it today. And that was at the end of the game. It was an interception, but, he was having to throw it up to just try to make a play at the end to try to tie the game.
So next week when you do look at this, and I can understand why the total came down just a little bit of a tick there, 2 down to 42. Do we expect the defenses for this to be one of those one-score type games? That's why we're seeing right around 1, maybe a pick, that this could be one of those 17,
I think
14.
so, because now, Jacksonville, this is always that tough spot because even though it's their home away from home, they were technically on the road for 2 weeks. Then you come home for 1 week, the market was against them, and they ended up winning easily. Now they got to go back on the road. That's never really an easy spot for a team. When you get that one quick home game, then you got to go back on the road.
So laying the point right now, let's see if that moves. But right now, Jacksonville and most shops we're seeing still a 1-point favorite on the road against the Saints.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.